Hello everyone, this is Trinium, and this is what I call the most advanced detainer pick ever built. It is the only commercially available 3-in-1 detainer tool. This was a nightmare to construct, let me just tell you that. It took almost a full year of manufacturing to just be able to produce this one sample. Genuinely speaking, this was not easy, but it's made and it's perfect and it's highly efficient. Today, we're going to be tackling a lineup of various different blocks, some of which have front tension, rear tension, and also the dreaded middle tension, and we're going to be opening them all with Trinium. This is probably the ultimate detainer pick right now, and I'm excited to share this with all of you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Starting off here with Trinium, we can first take a look at the mechanics of the tool. As you can see, this rearest handle controls the furthest tip, this one here. And this middle handle controls the tensioner. And of course the front handle controls the upmost tip. The diameter of the largest piece here is only roughly 2 millimeters, which means that it is going to fit into all different types of keyways. The aluminum handles here have indentations for the depth of which you're on both sides. And we have some nice logos and accessories on them. It took some time to design these designs. I thought they looked pretty cool. So what actually makes this tool so efficient? The thing is that you can actually pinch together the tips here at the bottom. And now you have a rear tension detainer pick. Essentially when you do this, you have a rear tension detainer pick. And when you go like this, now you have a front tension detainer pick. And when you go like this, now you have a middle tension detainer pick. This works on all locks that this tool will actually fit into, which is almost all locks. It is so incredibly efficient. I was completely blown away by this when I first started using it. To better showcase the capabilities of this tool, I thought it might be a good idea to pick a vast array of different locks in a single take on the video. And so that is exactly what we'll do. Starting off with level 1, which is going to be this clear plastic padlock. I have a vise here, which we can simply put this into. This lock is front tensioning, and to get the front tension configuration on this tool, all you have to do is put the middle handle and the front handle as far away from each other as possible. This is now a front tension configuration tool. And you can simply insert that into this lock, just like so. Most locks are front tensioning, and so all you do is that you use the middle handle, pick up the first disc, and now you're in front tension mode. To pick this lock, it is not very difficult, I must admit. But I think this lock here is a bit broken. So let's go ahead and try to pick up, there we go. We're on the first disc here, you can see it's moving. Let's try and get the second disc. You can also look at the indentations of the handles. Just trying to rotate it around until it moves. There we go, it moved. And move it forward until we get a nice good click there. We can see this disc here has moved. Third disc, there we go. Fourth disc. Yep. It is now in a loose position. Fifth disc was already loose. There we go, sixth disc. There we go. Adds a bit of pick resistance. That lock is a little bit broken. And I think it may be more than a little bit broken, this one. See if we can't. Yeah, so this disc here is wedged inside. See if we can't repair this lock as well as pick it. Let's try and use the tensioner to get that lock back into working condition. Okay. I think that was successful. Okay, there we go. These discs are all jiggling. That's a good sign. Means that it is working. And there we go. Now it's open. A little bit of issues with the discs here. These clear through locks are not very, I guess you can say, high tolerance. I think it's maybe lacking a spring that is supposed to tension the entire core, which is why it isn't working that well. But it did get opened, and you can see the front tension configuration of the Trinium tool. Moving up the ladder, we're going to be tackling a bike lock. This is a salt secure Asaclit bike lock. These are nice and insurance rated, everything. And these are fairly similar to what you'll see on many other bike locks. This one here in particular is actually random tensioning, but this particular lock is actually rear tensioning. You have about a 1 in 9 chance for it to become rear tensioning. So we'll be using the rear tension attachment or configuration on this tool. And all you do is take these two handles as far apart from each other as you can, and you use the front handle to manipulate the lock. Let's go ahead and push this all the way down. Okay, I think that is all the way in now. Just making sure. Yes, it is. Now applying a soft amount of tension. I usually use fairly soft tension with these types of locks. We can begin manipulating. So the last disc here, I think, is good in somewhere in the middle position. This next disc here, let's feel this one out. I can't really deduce much from it at the moment. So I think we'll just leave that one and come back later. So no feedback on number 2. Feeling out number 3, same story, not much feedback. Number 4, a clear all the way forward. Yeah, that one is set there. Number 5, all the way forward. Number 6, closed all the way forward. Number 7 is set somewhere back here. Is there an 8 or 9? No, there isn't. Okay, maybe I miscounted the discs in this lock. Okay, wiggling disc number 1, it is nicely set. Disc number 2, now we're getting feedback. It was set forward and the lock is now open. So it made quick work of that. Let's try to lock it again and take the tool back out. So many tips. Takes a little while to get it back out. Okay, it's locked again. Now we're moving into the moderate tier of locks. Here we have a Detainer lock, class 4 Biltema. This one here is the highest grade of padlock that is commercially available from supplement stores here in Norway. It is indeed a Detainer lock. It's a very, very beefy lock. This one is FG class 4. That's a very serious rating for a padlock. So this would be appropriate to lock up a jet ski or high value goods. Even military facilities use that level of rating on their padlocks. This one here is actually rear tension, I think. So we'll be putting together the tips like so and just sticking them all the way inside. Trying to navigate the lots of warding inside of this lock actually. So the profile that is on the Trinium tool is able to navigate that, but it does take a bit of wiggling to get it all the way in. Very, very strict warding on a tool like this. Lock like this, I should say. Okay, it is all the way in. Now we're tensioning the lock. I like to use fairly heavy tension with locks like this, because they're very, very smooth and require a lot of tension to get any sort of audible, I should say, or feelable feedback. Okay, so the last disk I think is set somewhere here in the middle. So that was opened. Second disk a little bit forward, and I think it's in a gate. Third disk I think is good right there. Fourth disk is not good where it's at. Fifth disk is nice. Maybe I miscounted the amount of discs there. I should be looking at the indentations on the handle instead of trying to feel my way around, because I think I missed a few. Okay, first disk is definitely set. Same with second disk. Third disk has a false gate, and I think it's set somewhere around here. I think that's good. Fourth disk I think is good right there. The false gates in this lock isn't really that well designed. They're way too shallow, or I should say they're not wide enough to feel like a real true gate. I will say sometimes this lock here is a little bit like a maze, because everything is so smooth and the binding pattern is really quite weird on this lock. So sometimes these types of locks can take a little while to open. And there we go. It is now open. There was some problems with the last two discs, and once they were set, this lock opened right up. Let's go ahead and lock it again and take the tool out. Now we're getting into the serious section of this video, because now we'll be tackling the ABIS and the abloy, which are, safe to say, quite difficult locks indeed to open. I think we'll start off with the ABIS. This is an ABIS Plus 8850. And this lock has the middle tension obligatory. If you do not middle tension this lock, you actually won't get it open and you won't feel much feedback at all, because it has two butterfly discs that are on the very edges of the lock. And that actually prevents you from being able to open this without the use of middle tension. I'll try to show a little bit. So essentially you have a disc stack that goes like this. And then you have a sidebar that lays on top of it, like that. And the discs on, I think the newer ones here, are the butterfly discs have this gate. And if they're not both set at the same time, you actually can't reach these gates here, because there's a little bit of clearance, and you actually won't get any feedback at all. Now, it is still technically possible to open through use of some very advanced baking methods, But what you see on competitions is that ABIS Plus like this takes about 40 something minutes to open blind. And this tool here, when I was using it for the first time yesterday, I opened a blind ABIS Plus, which was a new one that I had just bought, in about 7 minutes and 37 seconds. Let's see if I can get that same time again today. Okay, so the first step is to actually figure out which disk is the tensioning disk. What you have to do is set the 2 butterfly disks, and then you have to test each individual one for which one is the tensioning disk. And that is only available to know through looking at the feedback that you'll be getting. So once you're on the tensioning disk, the feedback that you get is very, very crisp and very, very clear. It doesn't actually matter which direction you start from. There's a random probability of each one being the tensioning disk. So we're going to start from the top and work our way down, starting with the first disk. Okay, we're on the first disk now, and there isn't any real feedback that we'll be getting here on the butterfly disk. Let's try the other ones. We're not getting any feedback, so this is not the correct disk. Let's go ahead and move 1 position down. We're on the butterfly disk here, so let's switch this up, move 1 position down, and let's take a look. Not any notable improvements, so this is probably not the correct one either. Let's go ahead and try 1 more further down. Yeah, we're getting something here. This is significantly better. Let's try the butterfly disk. See if we can't feel anything. We're definitely... No, I don't think this one is the correct one either. Let's go back to the top. Let's go 1 more down. Not getting much feedback here either. So this one is, actually this one might be onto something. Let me try and feel around here. So butterfly disk is not binding at all, which is not a good sign. Second disk is not binding much at all either. Try the front one. I may have skipped past it unless it is one of the 2 last ones. Maybe it was the one before, if I'm recalling correctly. Let's try 1 more down, and if it isn't that one, then we've gone too far and we can go back up to 2 segments. Okay, now we're on the second last disk. It definitely is not this one. This one has no feedback at all. Alright, so I think it may have been the one where we felt a little bit. So I'll be going back to that one. I believe that was 2 up. 2 up just like that. And let's now go ahead and try to feel the lock. I think it may be this one actually. Or not. Or not, because we're not getting any feedback on the rear handle. Let's try 1 more down. Oh yeah, I am actually in the wrong position. Okay. Let's go one more down here. Yeah, so that's, I need one more further down. Like that should be good, yeah? Okay. Getting some signs of feedback. I think it's probably this one. The thing is that the ABIS locks don't really give much feedback at all, so sometimes it is a bit unclear, but I think we're in the right position here. If we're not, we'll swap mid-picking, but I think we're probably on the money here. Okay, so now that we have gotten the position, let me go ahead and count what disk this is. This is the 1, 2, third disk. So this is the third disk that we're on. So you can see 1, 2, 3 lines right there. So we're on the third disk. And let's go ahead and start setting some disks. Starting off with the butterfly disks, these are quite easy. You move them all the way forward and then a little bit back and then they're set. So that's the first one that's set. Then we go over to the last one. Set it all the way forward and then take it a little bit back. Very good. So now I'll start working on the disks. So the first thing is to just put them in a gate. It doesn't really matter which one. True or false, it just needs to be in any gate. I think I got a little bit of core rotation, which is a very promising sign. Okay, so now we're in a position where all of the disks are in a false gate. And now we can go ahead and try to distinguish which gate is which. So I'm losing complete count of what disk is which, so I'm just going off a feel here. Unable to count. What we're really looking for is a disk that wiggles slightly more than the rest. Obviously, once everything is indeed set correctly, we should also be able to tension down into the groove of the false gate, but we're not quite there yet, so I don't think everything is set in a gate just yet. Maybe a problem with where stuff is being tensioned from. Okay, now it's in there. Okay, now we're in where every disk is in a gate. So this is really similar to just regular picking, where you're just looking to feel which disk has no drag on it. That's what you want. I think I'm touching maybe two disks at once. Is a potential problem. I'm gonna check. Sometimes it's a little difficult to locate the exact disk that you're touching. I think I'm doing a good job here. I think all the disks above are in the correct position. So the disks below it. Okay, I think the disks below it are, so they're definitely set. So it must be some of the disks that are above that are in a false gate. So let's go through and check one more time. that's what you can do at times is wiggle the disc, tension a little bit more, and feel if the pressure changes, the resistance changes. If it does, then, well, it's open. Something that I should note here is that what we just did is actually a fairly impressive accomplishment, because these locks here typically take around 40 minutes to get them open blind, if you're even able to get them open. And we did it in far less time than that, so that I think is fairly impressive. But we're not done yet. We're going to be picking the Abloy disc lock. Just to put an Abloy in there, it's a fairly important threshold to test a picker's skill and a tool's versatility to be able to pick an Abloy lock. These are quite difficult to manipulate, although it is slightly more skill-based, this one here, than tool-based, as is on this one. Right, this is an Abloy, so it is obviously a rear tension lock. We just pinch these two together, we just lock them down, and we can insert the tool all the way to the bottom of the lock. Make sure they actually are all the way in here. Seems they are. Now we can resume our picking. Okay, so in standard Abloy fashion, when you start picking, you feel nothing. Apart from very, very light taps and nudges at the discs as you're moving them across the sidebar. Obviously, something that's good is to go to disc number, I think it's 4, and just tap that to make sure that your core is rotated all the way forward, which mine actually wasn't. I forgot to do that, but now that I did, feeling a little bit more feedback here. The disc spacing in Abloys is actually slightly thinner than in most other locks. They're about 1.5 millimeters in spacing, as opposed to 1 to 2 millimeters in spacing. So the discs don't quite line up with the serrations on the tool, but it doesn't really matter. What you do here is that you try to get everything into a click, and if you feel a bit of core rotation, whether you move forward or backwards, that's a really good sign. It means that it's in probably the right spot. Okay, I think we're in a pretty deserted spot right here. I'm trying to get any feedback out of this thing whatsoever, but it is giving me very, very little. So in situations like this, I like to just essentially go around and scramble up the discs a little bit. You can also increase the tension. I think I'll do that first before I start reversing progress. Okay, it was the first 2 discs that were problematic. They were actually binding quite significantly. Now that they're moved a little bit in a better position. Okay, we got it open. I don't know exactly what I did. I sort of counter-rotated and then rotated it and it went right open. No wonder I was confused. It may have been actually picked already. But anyways, that is a good lineup. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different locks. All picked with the full combination of the capabilities of Trinium. We have front tension mode, rear tension mode, and middle tension mode. And they all three serve their different purposes. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. I certainly enjoyed making this tool, and this has now become my new everyday carry, because this one here is a ultimate counter against all these detainer locks that you're likely to find in the field. Thank you a lot for watching, and have a wonderful day.